and welcome to the Artist Behind the Music holiday series. Today we have Elise Saunders joining us from Ontario. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Crystal.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat with you and hear a little bit more about your story and kind of what got you started in the music industry, what inspires you to pursue this as a career. So let's kind of dive backwards and kind of go into your story.
Yeah.
Notes version.
So I would say, yeah, music has always been a part of my life since I can remember. I grew up in a family that always loved and respected music. My mom was a at-home singer-songwriter, and I just always did it. Like I'd be around the house, like humming, singing, writing songs. And then I got to a point where I actually met my very first mentor from my hometown in Peterborough, Ontario. And we just really zoned in on how to find my own voice and my own authentic voice and story. And I would say that was near the end of high school. But before that, I had some experience doing some singing competitions, which was a great way to get out there on the stage. And my dad would take me to the bars. I'd be underage, but we just get in there for the live band. I'd get up and sing, and then we'd leave. So I just was looking for as much opportunity as possible, just to be on stages and surrounding myself with music people. And I would say it was near the end of high school. I decided this is something I wanted to do, and I always knew that I wanted to be an entertainer. I don't know if I knew it was possible until I kind of had all these different influences in my life.
Yeah. I want to talk about competition and how you felt that impacted you as an artist growing up, just in that competitive environment. Do you feel like it was an inspiring space to be in, or did you find any conflict or things that came up? I know sometimes competitions can bring up those feelings of, oh, I'm not good enough, or, those gross little voices in the head. And I always like to kind of chit chat about these kind of things because it's so important, especially for new artists to pick up on tools and tips how to navigate through the craziness. So how is that competition world for you growing up, and what kind of advice would you have for people that are moving through that?
Yeah, I would say I actually got into competitions later than a lot of, I think kids get into them when they're just like toddlers or really little. I started them when I was a teenager. So I felt it was more difficult because I was a youth, and you go through that phase of youth where you feel like so scared to do anything outside of the box. So which I think was great for me though, because I naturally was a bit of a shy kid, although I was this little entertainer at home. That I needed to just have a stage that I could just do my thing. And it just helped me find those free stages to play on. I would say that I definitely felt the pressure early on, but having some of those tips of what they expect, I think, was a good starting point because it kind of teaches you, okay, like as a performer, I need to have like this, and this. But I would say I kind of outgrew it pretty quickly. I just felt like I was confined to a box and there was a lot of pressure, and I needed to experience what it was like to play with a band and just jam and to just get up on stage and whatever happens. Whereas when you're in a singing competition, you're singing to a track. So it's like you can't screw up or the track is everything's off. But with a band, it's the fun part is interacting with each other and the live audience and creating those moments that are unique from the tracks.
Totally. Totally. I always found the competition world just to be like, I just have awful memories about.
Oh my, it was some of my scariest years as an artist. I can relate.
Because I also I was a gymnast growing up, and so I didn't kind of get into singing till my teenage years as well. And like the competition stuff, I remember auditioning for this youth talent showdown, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna wear a headset mic and sing a Whitney Houston song and have a dance routine. That's like the worst idea of my life. So
That's
yes,
amazing though.
yeah, but it taught me like, okay, well maybe you should stick to what you're good at. Maybe singing Whitney Houston song remixes and dancing isn't your forte. And let's talk a little bit about your authentic voice. And you mentioned you learned some tools on how to step into that. What did that look like for you in kind of rediscovering who you are as a singer and as a person? Because I think it's person first and then artist second. So how did
For
you
sure.
how did you step into that?
I would say when I first got into it, I would say obviously I was a teenager, so I was still transitioning into an adult, I guess, in who I really was. So when I started working with my first mentor and we were talking about trying to find that authentic voice, I grew up, yeah, singing competitions. So it's like you're singing to your idols' voices. So we just really took it from almost like a songwriter's perspective. He was an amazing songwriter. We would just pick apart every line in his song and just come up with the best way to say that line in more of a conversational, real way than just singing with a pretty voice. So that I would say is what number one made it, I guess, my authentic voice to start. And it actually really helped me as a songwriter too, just really analyzing his lines. But that's where it started. And then I would say it's just been a growth from there. And as an independent, it's been self development, which has been hard and difficult in many ways, but also incredible in many ways because I feel like I've grown into such a well rounded person by being in this industry. And I just feel like, yeah, I found my voice as a singer, as a songwriter. And I think that's important to be able to combine the two, but also just as, yeah, as a human being too. It strengthens us, I think, all these things.
Absolutely. When you tap into your passions and tap into kind of the rhythms of life that make you a brighter version of you, it's so much easier to figure out who you are. And I think that's a huge struggle for a lot of people is knowing who they are and what they want in life. And so it's just doing the work to discover and explore and get messy, get ugly, and how many bad songs you have to write a good one, you know?
Yeah, this industry makes you pretty humble. It's like with stage, with songs, with singing, it's everything. You put yourself out there, and it's like it could be good, it could be bad, but you're gonna grow from it. And I think by anybody and whatever you do in life, if you're willing to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, that's when you grow the most.
Yes, I love that. I love that so much. What would you say is the most challenging aspect of the music industry that you experience?
The most challenging, I feel like I'm like dealing with challenges with this industry all the time. I would say one of the most challenging was just learning the business side.
Mm,
I've always naturally been a creative person, but becoming a business minded person and then being able to switch between both because they are different, completely different things. And
yeah,
then if you can marry the two. So again, when I was developing, I had a hard time switching from both. And I would say that I have really developed a passion for the industry and the business, but I think we've had to as independents. Um, so I think that was the most challenging is in where your time is sometimes most spent is just trying to figure out your place in the industry and how to make your business as a business owner work. And then also I do think as females, we already have that difficulty when we do get into it, just where we're at in music. And I do see things changing, which is really positive. But I would say when I first started this industry to now, I've seen so many shifts, and we've been stuck in a certain chapter in music for a little while now. So it's nice to see that there's some females starting to really pop up and really get out there. Like Maren Morris is one that I've been in love with for so long with her music and what she's doing. But just these female voices, I think that, I mean, when I was just starting, I was like 18. I went to some industry event, and I asked somebody for their advice. And one of their number one things was, well, if you were born a man, you would have opportunity. You'd be way better off. I'm like, well, I'm not a man. Like, I'm a woman. So how do I proceed in this industry as a woman? So it's just, yeah, finding our place as people, as our individual selves, but also as a female in the industry too.
yeah, absolutely. That's well said. I really like kind of what you said about the chapter that we've kind of been in for a while, and it's you can see the pages slowly turning, and that's exciting. It's exciting to see people creating impact and shifts and movements and connection. And it's like you go back to the 90s, women in music were, skyrocketing. It was amazing. Like Lilith Fair and all sorts of women power performers back then. So I think sometimes things come in circles and phases, and maybe we're circling back around to that.
Yeah, I'm hopeful and confident that we are because I agree that was such a fun phase in country music because the females were killing it. And I would say the guys were killing it too. It's just like just equal that at that time.
Totally, totally. And what would you say one of the most exciting, thrilling parts of being in the music industry are for you?
I love performing live. That's one of the best parts. I love just being able to connect with an audience and create those moments for them and see them light up and feel like that I can help take them out of maybe a stressful moment or whatever, and that we're there together. And it's like it feels like a we rather than just me. And it feels good. Like it's this is where I'm supposed to be. Is it feels like home on stage. And then also I love songwriting. Like it just collaborating with people I respect and my music friends. It's an amazing world to be a part of music. As much as there's weird things about it, it's also pretty incredible, and I feel very fortunate to have the experiences in this industry.
Yeah, and I agree. It's something about the connection and the collaborating that we can do within the music industry that's so empowering and fun too, right? Like just to be able to work alongside your friends and meet new friends and acquaintances through the process of creativity. It's a little bit different than like going into a marketing meeting and just talking like a
Yes.
business like number meeting, right? It's a different kind of energy when you're talking and collaborating with people creatively. So
Yeah, it's like it's magical. It's
it's
yeah, your peers and like-minded people.
yeah, I love that. So you released a song this year, Wind Down. Let's talk a little bit about that and the process of releasing it in this insane year and what that looked like for you.
Yeah. So it is the second single from my upcoming EP. So I released my very first one this summer, which was, I had no idea. I felt like, I don't know if this is the right time. I'm just going to throw it out there and hopefully it works out. And that was on my single Free. And it's been incredible to see how much people are connecting to music online right now. I think just because people do need that outlet and they're looking for something to connect to, and they're online a lot more and they just want those real songs that they feel connected to. So Free was the first one, and now we're on to another phase into the slower season. So I thought Wind Down is perfect because we're slowing down and we're sitting inside. We want to be closer to our loved ones. And yeah, Wind Down is just really about celebrating your special somebody and not being distracted by whatever's going on, which I thought, again, it's perfect for what's happening right now. There's so much that we could be scared of and celebrate at the same time. There's so many movements and things happening at the same time, but it's a lot of distractions. So it's nice to just set in that time with your special somebody and really honor that. So yeah, and Wind Down is fun. I really like that because my co-writers Daryl Scott and Joey Green, we decided to write this one that day in Nashville, and Daryl Scott had talked to me about this title, Wind Down. And I was like, I love that. That is my song. We have to write that, and it just has those double meanings of having a good glass of red Cabernet, but also winding down with your loved ones. So it's a play on words.
I love it. Yeah, I listened to it and I'm just wanting a glass of wine. So I'll listen to it again tonight as I pour one. It's awesome. What is your ways of slowing down and kind of balancing your music and your life and your loved ones? Just how do you balance between everything and slow down when you need to?
Yeah. We were actually having a conversation about this earlier. By the way, this is my guitar player, Dave, who's hanging out in the back here. We're at his home studio. We were just talking about this is before everything shut down. I found just I was go, go, go all the time, just doing performing, or if not performing, then doing the administrative work, doing the business. And it was good. But at the same time, now that everything is shut down, it kind of forces you to make a change and really look at areas that maybe you can improve on. And something I found is that some of my personal life or relations were lacking, that I could work on that because I felt like there was not as much connection as there could have been. But I think it's important to schedule in those times when you have a busy schedule. It's easy just to like let those days combine into one, but you have to schedule in that time and say, this is for me, this is for my relationships, whatever it is, and I'm committing to this, and I'm not gonna work. So I think it's important to do that. And I just like being in nature. I mean, right now it's freezing, so I'm not outside as much, but I love being in nature, like if it's by the lake or a campfire, just to like ground myself and to center my mind, the like the craziness of all the stuff going on. But also just watching a movie and just being at home, like nothing special.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Especially in the scheduling time thing. When you do a lot of things, you have to schedule the time to slow down because it's so easy to just like keep going. All of a sudden it's tomorrow and we're doing the route race again. And you're just running
Yeah.
in that
And
circle.
then time flies. It goes by so fast.
Especially this year, I'm finding that days just roll into days. And I cannot believe that it's the holidays already. Like,
I can't believe it either because it was shortly after the holidays last year that this stuff happened where it's like we were all preparing towards the summer and then it's like just everything's frozen but happening so fast at the same time.
totally. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's frozen but happening so fast. It's a very strange time, but we're moving through it day by day. And I'm so grateful to have music to kind of lift the spirits and shed some light on the days. So I would love to hear you play if you're ready.
Yeah, we're ready. So speaking of wind down, we will do wind down for you. So this one is available everywhere right now if anybody wants to hear it, and then it goes to radio in January.
One, two, three, four.
Baby, I know you had plans for us, but tonight we don't need all the rush. We could just stay here with the lights down low. We've been working way too hard, spending too much time apart. I just need you close to me right now. Let's wind down, kisses California red right off my lips. Take some time, somehow, run your fingertips down to my hips. 'Cause I don't wanna break this town right now. Baby, I just wanna wind down. We could pour a glass of Cabernet like the one we had on our first date. We shut down the bar and I gave you my heart. This way we make all the rules. No one sees us act like fools. Getting punched drunk with this love till we can't get enough. Wind down, kisses California red right off my lips. Take some time, some help, run your fingertips down to my hips. 'Cause I don't wanna break this town right now. Baby, I just wanna wind down. Yeah. Like this wine, we get better with time. Baby, like this wine, we get better with time. Let's wind down, kisses California right off my lips. Take some time, some help, run your fingertips down to my hips. 'Cause I don't wanna break this town right now. No, I don't wanna break this town right now. Baby, I just wanna wind down.
that song. I love
Thank
that
you.
acoustic version
Thank
so
you.
much. It was very beautiful. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, so good. So let's talk a little bit about songwriting. Do you have a specific process you like to go through? Do you find fast songs easier than slow songs? Kind of what's your process with the whole songwriting world, the struggles and the highs?
Yeah, so when I start a song, I usually like to start a song with, if it's a co-write, um, with something that I have. So that's usually the way, just because again, we were talking earlier about the authentic voice. I
Yeah.
feel like if the bass is mine to start, then it's gonna sound like me and it's gonna feel like my song. But sometimes you write a song and it's better for another artist, which is great too, to be able to pitch them. But for me, I always like to start with the hook first, usually, and the hooks usually come at me at the strangest times that I don't expect. It once in a while will happen in a dream, which is really cool,
Oh,
or it
that
could
is
be when I'm
cool.
driving or cooking or doing something where you're not really paying attention to songwriting, I guess, at the time. And then I'll make voice notes and then I'll tuck those away for my next writing session by myself or co-writing. But sometimes it starts with a title too. A really catchy conversational title is awesome too. But yeah, I usually like to start with something that I know I have a strong setup for the course, something that is melodic, and then we build the story around that. I really love creating verses that you can almost taste and feel. There's some texture to them. That's always really important to me. And then I usually like to, yeah, come up with those big courses. That's usually my style. But yeah, and I would say the ups and downs. I would say when I first started, it probably started as a diary more than anything, just writing just to get my feelings out. So when I first started writing, it would have definitely been more the emo, slow songs, and then yeah, now I've just gotten more into these bigger anthemic, fun, upbeat songs like "Free." So I like to do both. It really depends on the mood. If I'm going through something, then that's my way to emote. If I want to celebrate something, then I usually like to do the fast songs. Um, but yeah, I love co-writing with people just because they can pull out different things that you wouldn't even think about.
Totally. I love that about co-writing as well. It's just more brains to an idea can just bring out things in yourself that you didn't even know you had in there, right? Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Do you ever have songwriting sessions, whether it's with co-writers or by yourself, where you're just like, I have nothing, like this idea is just not going anywhere? When you have those, do you push through and try to finish it, or do you just put it to the side and start a new one, or just stop altogether?
I'm trying to think in that I know that for myself, if I'm writing for myself and I get stuck on something, I usually won't force it and I'll just put it away because it's more like a song. I know it's for me. So I'm like, I want to do this another time when I'm in the right headspace to finish it. If it's a co-writing session though, normally we're just excited about whatever the idea is and we end up finishing it. Sometimes the song could be 2 hours or it could be 6 hours. We usually will push through it. Sometimes though, we might get hung up on like a bridge or like a line where we're like, oh, we just need to get that line, and we'll sit there for like 30 minutes, like that line, I can't get it. So that will often just be okay. Let's just put a placeholder. We'll come back to that another time and make it stronger. But we usually will try to push through it.
Yeah, and isn't that the best feeling when you do push through and you find a solution at the end? You're like, oh my god, that feeling.
And it is like we were talking earlier, it's just such a cool thing to be able to have that synergy between different people and create something that at the end of it you have something and it's almost like building a puzzle or a masterpiece. It's cool.
Totally, I love it. Well, I would love to hear your holiday song. If you're ready to rock out a little more, I'm ready to.
Yeah. And I do want to say once again, Crystal, you're incredible and you're rocking it. And I appreciate you so much for having us on today. And it's nice to be able to share some holiday songs. We don't get to do this often, especially with the lack of shows right now. So this helps us to get into the Christmas spirit.
Right? I
Um, so we're going to do Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree.
love this one.
Anybody watching from home, feel free to sing along. We won't be able to hear you, but we can feel you.
Rocking around the mistletoe hall where you can see every couple tries to stop rocking around the Christmas tree. Let the Christmas spirit reign. Later we'll have some pumpkin pie evolution caroling. You will get a sentimental feeling when you hear voices singing, let's be jolly, deck the halls with boughs of holly, rocking around the Christmas tree. Have a happy holiday. Everyone's dancing merrily in the new old-fashioned way. You will get a sentimental feeling when you hear voices singing, let's be jolly, deck the halls with boughs of holly, rocking around the Christmas tree. Have a happy holiday. Everyone's dancing merrily in the new old-fashioned way. Yeah. Woo!
Yeah. Woo! I love that song. Thank you for playing that one. That's one of my favorites. What are your favorite Christmas songs? Top
Yeah,
three.
that's definitely one of my favorites in my top three for sure. I feel like ever since I heard that one in Home Alone when I was a kid, I've just been obsessed with it.
I love that movie.
So I love that one. I love the Christmas song by Nat King Cole. I just love all the pictures in it. And I would say, have yourself a merry little Christmas too. There's just something really warm about that one.
I love Christmas music.
I know I could listen to them all, and it's funny because I mean we hear them every year and they never get old, and we just know all the words to them because we've heard them so many times.
It's timeless. It's just
Yeah,
that timeless part of the Christmas music is just what's so heartwarming, right? Is just that connection that we know we can always come back to that feeling of joy and of hope. And I think that's a big reason why we look forward to Christmas is to experience those feelings and emotions. And I think, just finding a way this year to still invoke those emotions and joy in a new way, I think is just really important message just to share right now because it's going to be very different this year for a lot of people. So I think
oh yeah,
just spreading as much love and as much joy and listen to as many Christmas songs and watch as many Hallmark movies as you need.
yeah. Just keep the spirit up for sure. And like you were saying too, I think that's the cool thing about songs too is, and Christmas songs especially, but they take us back to a memory too. There's so many memories they can remind us of. So, and I don't know what it is about this year, if it is because everything is slowed down a little bit and it's just different this year, but I feel like kind of like a kid on Christmas this year. So it's nice. I feel like I have the Christmas spirit this year, which I think is important. Like you're saying, it's different this year. And if we can just remind ourselves things could be worse, they could be worse.
They could be worse. And all we can do is just make the best of where we are. And I think letting go of expectations of how things have been in the past. And when we do that, it makes it a little easier to move through when we're not expecting things to be a certain way, right?
I agree.
Yeah. I always love to end these conversations with the question, if you had one message to share with the world, what would it be?
One message to share with the world. Yeah, I would say that I don't know. Right now, I'm feeling like this 2021 is about, or sorry, this 2020 going into 2021 is about change, and just our acceptance of change, and change for the better. And with all this stuff happening, I think it's showing us that if we can come together, then positive change can happen, and to treat everybody with kindness and respect because we don't know what that person is going through. I think that's important.
So true. Well said. Positive change is coming. So come together. I really like that. That's
Yeah.
well said and beautiful. Well, Elise, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been such a joy chatting with you, hearing all your inspiring stories, tips and tools, and your lovely voice. So thank you so much for being on the Artist Behind the Music.
Thank you so much, Crystal. I've had so much fun being on your sessions here, and wishing you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and Happy New Year, and to everybody else watching as well.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.